Ghost of the Vicary House, written by Denver and Eugenia Walton. Sometimes there doesn't seem to be any advantage to being a ghost. For one thing, I can't scare anybody, but I'm working on that. I was a young man, healthy and handsome, and ready to go out to see the world. I wrote a distant cousin, Captain William Vicary, and told him I was coming west and that I would stop when I passed through the Ohio Valley. He replied and insisted that I plan to stop and visit for a few weeks. Well, this sounded great to me, for beyond Vicary's place, there was mostly wilderness. Alighting from a carriage in the boat-building town of Freedom, I met my cousin, who welcomed me warmly. He took me to his house. Everything went well until one day when the captain let me use his telescope. I was sitting on the porch, exploring the riverbank from a distance. The Vicary land extended nearly half a mile down to the Ohio River, and at the river's edge I spied a boat dock. It was very warm that day, and I thought of taking a swim. Captain Vicary suggested that I contact some of the neighboring youths and make it a swimming party. So 4 or 5 of us found our way down to the river, suitably attired for a dip in the beautiful blue waters of the Ohio. There was an old rowboat docked beside the pier, and this would prove to be my undoing. Diving off the pier, I turned and swam under it and struck my head on the bottom of the boat. I must have swallowed a lot of water, for I quickly sank to the bottom of the river. I wasn't missed right away, but when my friends didn't see me in the water, they started searching and finally found me under the pier. Of course, it was too late for me. I was outraged. I myself, naked and afraid, sought shelter in the nearest structure, the old stone house, once the abode of the captain and his family. Even as a ghost, I found it difficult to enter the solid stone house, but I eventually found a missing stone under the porch. I was surrounded by living people. To escape the ruckus, I usually stayed in the 3rd floor ballroom, where it was mostly too hot or too cold for the living to spend much time there. From here, I could watch the changes in the world around me. I'd seen the steamboats on the river when I was alive, but soon the locomotives made their appearance, speeding across the captain's lawn, making their way west from Pittsburgh. In time, the horse-drawn carriages disappeared, and horseless carriages, automobiles they were called, were traveling across the lawn even faster than the steam trains. When I tired of the ballroom, I would often float downstairs and circulate among the living residents. I quickly found I was not visible to the people of the house. Once in a while I would try to knock a vase off the mantel, but I had no powers to move anything. This was frustrating. A later owner of the house decided to partition off the big rooms to make it possible for more families to live in several apartments in the house. This made changes in my floating pattern and really put a strain on the house's antiquated heating system. As a ghost, I didn't feel hot or cold, but some areas of the house really got frigid in the wintertime. Some of the old fireplaces were still in use, but I didn't go near them. I wasn't sure what the open flame would do to my ghostly existence. I remember one incident where a teenage girl lost her shoe down a hole in the floor near the fireplace in the old part of the house. Her mother was so furious that she made the poor child go barefoot from May to October that year. Years passed, and then excitement again. There was a lot of activity and earth moving in front of the house. By eavesdropping to the various conversations among the living, I learned that a new highway was being built and the house would be torn down. I was really frantic. Dull as it was, my existence in the old stone house was something special, and I didn't want to lose it. Then things were changed as I watched, and a big concrete wall was erected in front of the house. This was due, I learned, to a petition to save the house, drawn up and signed by the living neighbors and people from the surrounding communities who didn't want to lose an important landmark. Little did they know that I didn't want to lose it either. Then the house was empty for a long time, unheated Unwanted, the Vicary house stood silent for years, until a new group of people arrived. The new living guests didn't sleep overnight in the house, but came by day to make changes. They came and tore out all the newer partitions, restoring the original size of the rooms. They put new slates on the roof and cleaned the stones on the outside, restoring the original tan color of the house. A few years later, a new heating system was installed, and boy was it fun to scoot through the heating ducts from one room to another. They poured a cement floor in the basement, hiding forever the bones that might or might not be buried there. Just kidding. And there were changes to the outside too. The old stone driveway was changed to concrete. Trees were cut down. Flowers and herbs and vegetables were planted in attractive little gardens on the grounds. Inside, floors were finished, walls were replastered and painted. One of the rooms is yellow, and it contains furniture I haven't seen since Captain Vicary's day. These new living people were rapidly restoring the house to the grand and hadn't enjoyed since Captain Vicary lived here. The town of Freedom has a special festival every year called Vicary Day, and crowds of people come to see the house as it changes and improves each year. My spiritual existence has been altered again, and I think I'm going to enjoy it. I cannot see anything but good times in the future for the Vicary house.